Every house may not have a person with a disability living in it, but every house needs to be able to be visited by people with disabilities.
Can I come and visit you? Or do I have to kind of sit outside and we talk, you know, until the weather gets cool or it gets dark? Housing is a very huge barrier. Once again, it's key to people living successful and productive lives.
We live in a society where more and more people have mobility issues.
No one's ever thought about what it would be like if you couldn't leave your house. And so housing that is not accessible is a huge barrier. And by that I mean housing that doesn't have a no-step entrance.
And I went to a building, they had a beautiful ramp. And I got up to it, and they had a step like this here. You put it in, and it's still a step up to the door like this. Your building is still not accessible.
What if you're moving? How much easier would it be to be able to just roll into your house to when you bring it in your washer and dryer?
In July, we had a fire, and I had to basically crawl down the steps. So that was a barrier.
The barriers I see that I face is accessibility in the bathrooms.
Roll-in showers are far and few between. It's a huge barrier in the bathrooms. The toilets are too close to the tubs.
Basically, a lot of the housing in the area isn't ADA compliant, so there's not wheelchair ramps or grab bars.
Every door that I go into has to be at least 32, if not 36 inches wide. And I actually had to get the power chair smaller than what I actually needed so that I would be able to continue to live in the house that I'm living in.
I have realized that sometimes in accessible housing has two different meanings. Accessible for them might not be accessible for me. Or maybe accessible for me might not be accessible for the next patron or the next customer.
Appears to be resistance to doing anything different in the building trades. Larger hallways, wider doors, things like that, all of which really don't add substantial cost to construction.
The home modification program was where we go in and work with houses that's already been built. What we have been advocating for since we opened is trying to get more houses built that are already has a zero-step entrance. It's so much easier to have a house that's already built that way than to try to modify it later, because when we run into these split-level houses that we have to modify, it's near impossible to modify a house like that.
And it's not as though we're trying to tell developers or builders what to do. It is just a win-win situation.
Some builders will just embrace the change, and once they understand the need for it, incorporate it in new construction, renovation, whenever they can. But a lot of builders just don't want to do it.
What's going to happen to the stock of homes where people can't get into them? What's going to happen when your parent is no longer able to get into their home? Is your home prepared to have your aging parents come and live with you?
And we're not talking about just the people in the house now, we're talking about the lifetime of a house.
Just think long term, how much better your house will sell if you have some of these features.
We need to think about design features that are more inclusive from the very beginning.
Basic access features, I think, is the way to go. It's the wave of the future, and we just need people to get on board with it.